Hello, and welcome to another episode of Gut Punch Satan. Today we're going to talk about standing your ground. Hello, I am Chaplain Gina. Last episode we talked about not arguing and walking away if you have to. But today we're going to talk about standing your ground. But Chaplain Gina, that sounds like a contradiction. I promise you it's not. Because I'm going to talk about a different kind of standing your ground. Not the kind where you dig in and fight for your side of the argument, not that kind. If that's what you're doing, watch the episode before this. But what I'm talking about is hanging in there and listening to the person who is ranting. Now, I'm not advocating for, going places where for a fact you're uncomfortable. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be willing to hear some things that you may not want to hear. Think about parenting for those of you with kids. Oh my gosh, how many times do your kids talk about things that you simply couldn't care less about? And that might sound cruel, but if you're a parent and saying that you have never just smiled and nodded as your child went on and on and on, you're lying. I'm sorry, but I think you're lying. Kids talk about so much. I would never have watched Power Rangers every Saturday. I would never have gone to a Pokemon movie. Now, I'm not saying there's no value in those things. If you're a person who loves Power Rangers and you're a person who loves Pokemon, that is fantastic. I'm not bad-mouthing the franchise. I'm just saying it's not for me. It's not something I would have cared about. But my son did care about it. He cared deeply. And I care about him deeply. So I watched the Power Rangers. I went to the Pokemon movies. I did it for him. And that's what we do. That's what God does for us. God listens to everything we say. Let's think about that. He has to hear some things. Because he's not just listening to everything he says. I'm going to correct myself. He hears everything we say and think. And then he hears our hearts, the truth of our hearts. That's a lot. And there is no way just thinking about some of the things he has heard from my mind, my heart, my lips, things that I really wish that I hadn't subjected him to. But he listens, and he still loves me, and he very much cares. Why does he care? He cares because I care. So when in last episode we talked about people who rant and rave and go off and freak out, and if you've got somebody in your life who is doing that, even if you don't care about what they're saying, you could think that the point they're making is the dumbest thing you've ever heard. Well, guess what? It's not about you. Not everything is about you. Listen anyway. Ask questions. Try to find out why they're so passionate about that. And if it's something that's they're freaking out about constantly, help them cope, help them move past it. And you're not going to be able to do that if you didn't listen in the first place. Be there for them. God draws near the brokenhearted. And I've got news for you. If you know someone who is constantly freaking out about something, especially if it's a reoccurring freak out, they're brokenhearted. And to you, it may sound like the most ridiculous thing ever spoken. But it doesn't matter because it's important to them and they're important to you. Now, what do we do if that's a stranger? Well, if you're a Christian, you still try to draw near. Don't put yourself in harm's way, but you still try to draw near because even though that person may not be important to you, they're important to God. And if you are representing him, then you are meant to be the light. I have people come up to me all the time. They'll just start telling me stuff. I guess I just have the face of a person who's willing to listen. And that makes me happy. That makes me so happy. It makes my heart happy because I am a person who's willing to listen. Because he loves them, and I am meant to be a reflection of that love. That's how that works. And again, I'm not talking about dangerous situations. I'm not talking about violence. I'm not talking about trying to help someone who could possibly harm you physically, verbally, or emotionally. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about normal freakouts. You know what I'm talking about. Be there, draw near, represent, be the light. All right?